Okay, what's going on, guys? I'm back here with another episode of Bass to Trout. Yes, I am not fishing today. Instead today, with it being, it looks really nice. I'm sitting on my back porch right now. It looks beautiful, but it's actually about 40 degrees and it's pretty cold, especially during the mornings and stuff like that. So I decided today, instead of trying to go out and try to make something happen on the water, that I would kind of go over some ways to maintain your equipment. And when it comes to equipment, I'm pretty OCD about mine. I like to keep it clean, I like to keep it nice, oiled. Yeah, because, I mean, as you know, we spend a lot of money on equipment that we use for this sport. So, today I've got two reels in front of me. One is the Quantum XO PT100 6:6:1 gear ratio reel. And this was my first bass reel ever. I actually got into bass fishing about a year ago, and this was the first nice reel that I bought. It's my bread and butter. I love it, but it is an absolute wreck because I haven't cleaned it since probably last July. So we're gonna go ahead and get it cleaned up with the new season coming up. And then I also have got a Shimano Corrado 7:2:1 gear ratio reel here too. I bought this one later at the end of the season. I did never clean it. I usually like to clean mine usually 3 to 4 times a season, then once in the off season. That for a lot of you that may be overkill. It depends on how much you fish. I like my reels to be clean. I like to keep the dust out of them. I like to keep them oiled. I like to keep them working really well, and I think that'll keep it so they last for you guys a long time instead of having to go out and buy a new reel every year. So the first one I'm going to show you guys is how to take apart a reel. Most of them have a little unlock. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, a little unlock right here. This one has the similar one. It looks just like, it's just a little different. But they all have that on the bottom side here. And I don't know how well this is going to focus. We'll have to see. So we're going to start with the Quantum. I'm going to unlock it, take off the side plate. Be careful when I would never suggest trying to do this on the water. Just because you could lose this side plate that holds in your spool. And that's just going to give you a really bad day on the water. Not saying that you can't just get a replacement one if you call the company. Most companies are pretty good about getting you replacement parts for their reels, but it's still just a pain in the ass. So you take off this side cap right here, then you're going to pull out the reel or the spool. When you pull out the spool, just make sure you keep that line tight so that you don't lose all the line off your reel. Unless you, in some of the reels like this one, I'll probably take the line off to clean it because it's really old line, so you can do that too. Okay, once you got this apart, it's pretty easy to take it apart, but you can see down in there. You can see how dirty and dusty and mucky it is. I don't know that that's going to affect performance, but I think over time, if you let that build up, it will. So what I like to do, and I'll show you guys what you need now. Now we got the reel apart, so everything's sitting out on the table. You're gonna need some reel oil, which you can get whatever kind you want. This is from Bass Pro. You're also gonna need Q-tips. Q-tips, and I would say some people say you only need 2 or 3 of them. I'm very OCD when it comes to my gear, so I like to try to get as clean as I can. So I would say probably for 2 reels, I'll use 6 to 7 a piece for a reel. Put this up because this wind, a little bit of breeze is kind of cool. So what we're gonna do is I take the reel body first. I take this body, and you just want to clean all inside of here. Just any dust you see, any dirt. Take that Q-tip along it and clean it real nice. The eye, get the eye where the line goes through. And you can see, as you can see, I mean, if I can get the focus. apologize, guys. Anyway, so we're gonna clean it up real nice. Just scrub it, get all the dirt, grime, stuff that you don't want in there that just builds up over a season of fishing. And I mean, I don't care how hard you try, you'll never get it back to where you can get all this dirt out of there. It's pretty hard. But you can get a lot of it, and I think it helps. Because, I mean, the grease and oil or whatever you use on your reel is going to attract dirt. That's just how it is. So you can't always get it perfect. Like, I like to also get down into where the spool connects into the reel body, into the retrieve. Get all that dirt out of there. Because you're going to put some oil down in there too. And the more dirt you can get out, the better. That's the problem also with Q-tips. But I haven't found anything that works better than Q-tips. Is you're going to get some strands. Just get them out of there with your hands. And they come right out. Let's see. Get this all cleaned up. Get this eye. Like I said, this eye. It seems like the eye. I think that's from bringing stuff in on the line. It gets nasty. I mean, it gets nice chunks. I mean, look at that stuff on there. I don't know if you can see that, but it gets real nice and gross. And I think over time that could affect your cast. So, and this could be overboard. I don't know. You guys might say it is. I just think that I like to fish so much, and I just like my equipment to work properly every time I'm out on the water. I know that doesn't always happen. No matter how clean you keep your reels, you're not always going to have a good day, but I think this can help you avoid a lot of situations. I have friends that don't clean their reels ever, and all I ever hear is their reels going crack, 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 and just making noises and just sounding nasty. And we spend too much money on this gear just to not clean it and take care of it. And if you're like me, you probably fish about 150 times a year. You're on the water, so I like my stuff to be nice. Okay. Like I said, guys, don't sit here and beat yourself up if you can't get this to come out completely. A lot of times you're not going to. It's the dirt gets into little tight places. It's hard. You can get most of it. Look at that. That nice piece of dirt. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's gonna be hard. It's very small. I also like to lay a paper towel underneath of when I'm cleaning these, because this stuff does get, especially if you're gonna do it in your house or something, it'll get all over the ground. I would say the ones you're going to be cleaning most, it depends on where you're fishing, obviously. If you're more of like a smallmouth fisherman, you're fishing open water, I don't think your reels are going to get as dirty. But if you're like me and you like to fish in the thick stuff and the grass and the mats and everything like that, your frogging rod, your flipping rod, those reels are probably going to be real gross by the end of a season, especially if you don't ever clean them once. Alright. Okay, so we got this cleaned up. So what I'm going to do next is put the reel body down. I'm going to look at the spool. This spool looks pretty good, actually. Not much dirt, pretty clean. But I'll take another Q-tip and I'll just run it around the inside of the spool. Get as much of that dirt and grime and crap out of there. Clean off where the pin where it goes in. Because I'll put oil on that too as well. And I know some people say in the worm gear you want to put grease. I've always found oil better. I like oil better. I don't know why. It's just a preference thing. Some people could probably tell you why grease would be better, and you can use grease if you'd like, but I use oil. So I'm going to be using oil today. And this worm gear is pretty dry, guys. Oh, that's another thing on the reel body I wanted to tell you guys. Definitely clean your worm gears. Run it across, get that little bit of dirt, reel it over a little bit, run it across, get that dirt, reel it over a little bit, run it across. this worm gear was dry. Run it across. Get that until you get it nice and clean, nice and shined up. You'll see it too, and then run your reel all the way across and get the other side. Make sure that side. Watch getting strands all up in it. Just lightly touch it, guys. You don't have to really force it in there. Just lightly touch it and run it across. It gets the dirt all nice and off. Okay, so that's done. We've got the spool done. Now we're gonna move on to this back plate. This doesn't seem to get as dirty as like the body does in the spool plate, or the spool and stuff like that. So I usually just run a little couple Q-tips through here. Clean that all out. There's a little dirt in there around the sides. Wipe that off around that side. So there you go. All right, so the reels are clean, and that took us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 Q-tips for that reel, and you can see on them they're pretty nasty. So about the rod out here too. I want to show you guys something about a rod too. Okay, so now we're gonna take our oil. Inside, you can see down in there. You can see the hole down in there. We're gonna take and we're gonna put. I like to put 2 drops. 1, 2. Just do 2 drops. Now you don't need a ton in there. On this side plate right here, this little magnet looking thing, I like to put a drop there. See what I'm talking about? Right there. Put a drop there. Okay. So that's pretty much all. The only places on the reel body, except for the worm gear, which I'll show you here in a second once I get the reel put back together. I like to put the reel back together before I do it. So, but on this plate, that plate right there, see that hole? We're gonna put 2 drops in there. Just 2 drops. Just let it get down in there real good. And then I put it down the spool pin. Put it all down here. Just run it down. And guys, they're really you put a drop on there and run it down. Just run it around with the tip of the bottle. And just get it nice and like you don't need it super like you don't need it dripping. And then we're gonna put our spool cap back in, or our spool back in. Make sure you don't get your line caught up if you keep line on. It is easier to take the line off and do it just because you don't have to worry about pulling that line back through, but this braid I put on not too long ago and I don't want to take it off. Oh, I just saw something I missed here, guys. Okay, so then we're going to take and put our spool cap back on the side. Should fit right in there. Make sure you're still on unlock. Then lock it back, make sure it locks. Okay, now we're going to take, what we're going to do is put some on the worm gear. And guys, you want the worm gear to be wet. You want it to look wet. I would say between 7 to 8 drops. 7 to 8 drops of oil on there. You want that worm gear to be wet. And you can go down all along it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. What I do is I hold it upright and I just reel. Just reel. Let it get all in there. And it looks wet. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. It looks wet. Like you want it to look wet. That's not a bad thing. Don't take it and dry it or anything like that. Because that'll set up in there. And it's not going to affect anything. It's not going to hurt anything. It'll just set up in there. And you can let these reels sit for a day. And that'll set up in there real nice. And it'll keep it nice and oiled up. So that's what I like to do. 7 to 8 drops. And then just leave it, make sure it looks moist. Like before I started doing this, guys, it looked bad. So, okay, so that one's done. So so you see here, it took us about 10 minutes to clean a reel. And then we're done. So, I'm not going to go through with this one, guys, and show you just because I don't want this to be a 25-minute video on cleaning reels. But it's going to be the same basic thing. You're going to take off the side. You're going to make sure you clean the worm gear. You're going to make sure you clean where the spool goes in. You're going to make sure you clean the spool cap and the spool. And then you're going to oil the worm gear. 7 to 8 drops oil. You're going to oil where the spool goes into the reel body. 2 drops, and then on the outside, and these are just for bass bait casting reels. Now, if you guys are fishermen that fish like inshore and ocean stuff, I don't know about really cleaning those reels, but I would just think a bait caster is a bait caster. You would just up the oil a little bit, just for the bigger worm gears and stuff like that. If I had a bigger reel, I'd demonstrate on it, but I don't. So it's going to be the same thing on this side. One more thing I wanted to show you guys before I let you go for the day is on your rods, and this is not as big a deal, but your rods with the line coming through, and like, you know, when you get mud and grass and stuff like that, they get stuff on the inside of the eyelets. And I mean, it may not be a big deal, and it may just be being OCD, but I think over time that's going to build up, and that could affect your cast in a way. And for one, I like being able to cast how I want to cast. So just go down through with these, clean the eyelets, just run them through the eyelets, clean them. Yeah, there's a little dirt coming out of them, and I think it'll just help prolong your gear. So, but these are some small things I do in the off season. I also do them in the season. With it getting into March now, we're pretty good into March. We're going to start to fish, and we're not going to want to take time to maintain our tackle. We're not going to want to take time to maintain our equipment. So my thing is do it while it's still a little cool outside and it's no fun to be out there. Because who wants to clean reels in June? Who wants to clean reels in May when the fish are biting and it's warm and it's nice and sunny? So go ahead and get this stuff done now, guys, so you don't have to do it then. You may have to, you know, clean depending on what kind of fishing you're doing, you may have to clean your reel once or twice during the season. I may clean mine 3 or 4 just because I'm goofy like that. But just get it done, and I guarantee you your gear will last you longer. You'll save more money. You'll have better experiences on the water. With all that being said, I do want to announce I have a good video coming up, I think. This coming Saturday, me and 2 of my friends are going to go down to Brookville Lake in Indiana, actually Brookville Tailwaters, and we're going to go trout fishing. We're gonna wade. We got waders. We're gonna go wading. It's gonna be a whole lot of fun. I can't wait to videotape it. I can't wait to film the experience. I've never been trout fishing for native trout, so it's gonna be a whole lot of fun. Probably fly fishing and conventional. Hopefully, I might have somebody with me to work the camera. If not, we're gonna still make it work, and it's gonna be a great time. So stay tuned for that. I'm having another video coming out tomorrow, guys. It's gonna be a reel review. I'm gonna do a review on the Corrado, the Shimano Corrado. So stay tuned for that as well. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you want. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one. See you next time.